All right. Hi, Gabe. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Dan. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me. I wanted to grab you for a few minutes because I know you're with Brightline right now. You have a ton of experience with other DMCs and some major suppliers in Florida. And I wanted to ask you about pre and post cruise trips because that seems to be really trending right now. And I'm curious if that's what you've seen through your conversations with consumers, your team, your colleagues. Have you seen that the desire for consumers to lengthen vacations with these pre and post extensions grow?
We certainly have. So a couple of things there. Well, first of all, the cruise industry as a segment has really, beyond recovered. 2023 has been a banner year for them, and it's been a banner year for us as well. So
Yeah.
and because we can connect people between different destinations and ports, right? We certainly see that there's plenty of folks that are adding more stays, longer stays, more activities, more experiences to their cruise vacation. So it's becoming more and more common to have a land and sea vacation than just arrive the night before, or some of those adventurers that land on the same day and then go straight
Yeah.
to the port.
Yeah.
So we certainly see that folks are looking for more things to do around the state to combine it. In the cool thing for us is that it's been that now it doesn't matter. We can get into this a little bit more, but now it doesn't matter from where you're sailing, right? Whether Canaveral, Everglades, or Port Miami, even the Port of Palm Beach, we can certainly play a part in that vacation.
Yeah. I mean, it does for me, these conversations I've had, the pre and post theme seems to have been really concentrated in Europe for a long time, but it does seem that I'm getting more comments, more questions about it being a Florida and other domestic US based trend as well. And it is interesting. Like, Brightline seems to serve that perfect audience.
Certainly, and of course, you probably have heard about our future plans in the West Coast and all that. But of course,
Yeah.
this year we're super focused on the Florida line. But we certainly are loving this role that we have of connecting the entire state, right? Or at least these really attractive tourism destinations or regions. So South Florida to Central Florida. So you can now have, let's say, your pre or your post nights could be, say, in Orlando or Kissimmee, even though you're sailing out of Port Everglades, for example.
Yeah.
So you can combine, the West Coast with the East Coast in ways that you couldn't before, and it's great because the state itself, as a tourism destination, continues to add,
Yeah.
not just lodging and activities, but all kinds of experiences. So it's really a cool time for folks to come back to Florida and not think about just jumping on their ship and sailing, but really staying for a little bit and exploring some of the things, perhaps some new things that they didn't know from before, or some things that have been in Florida for forever, but you just hadn't had the time to really check out.
So I was at a travel show up here in New York last year, and I moderated a panel with Florida destinations. And when the topic of Brightline came on, advisor hands just shot up right away. It was the most interaction I maybe ever had on one of these panels. I'm curious. I mean, how has the reaction been from your partners, from advisors, and has there been a level of education that they've wanted or needed in order to best position, these pre and post extensions, particularly when it comes to their customers?
Well, two things. I'd love to hear you say your experience during that panel, and I love the question. Really, I feel really honored and privileged to work for this company because that reaction is not unique to your event. We
Yeah.
do see that a lot. So every time, destinations and experiences around Florida have any event, and there's a mention of Brightline, there's a ton of interest and a ton of questions. And in Brightline and in my experience in tourism, of course, education is super important. And I never assume that people understand our product and know how to sell it. We're always offering ways to do that for two reasons. One, first, we're very new, at least
Yeah.
to this country and to Florida.
Yeah.
But also, there's as a brand, as a service, as a product, we've been evolving the service. We've been listening to what our guests want and need, and so we do have to stay up to speed and keep our partners in the travel advisor community up to speed with what we're doing, how we are evolving, what kind of new tools we have for them, which we have, great news on that front.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, might be an out of left field question, but the nature of sort of train travel in America, Brightline seems to be at the forefront because it seems to be a very European thing, train travel, especially destination. But it surprised me how excited consumers seemed about the prospect of Brightline and be able to travel destinations through train travel, especially in a state like Florida that seems very car heavy. Like, has it surprised you or your team? Like, what has been the anticipation like for rolling out all these new routes and all this new different product?
So allow me to answer this question with a very personal anecdote. No scientific data, and we collect a lot of it. But
Yeah.
let me just answer with a little bit of a personal story. But I've been with Brightline for about a year and a half, since April of 22, and I get in front of audiences, and this is what we do, and I kind of in jest always ask, oh, who likes traffic, and who likes congestion, and who likes to be delayed at an airport, and everybody ha ha ha. But then I'd like to ask, who here loves train travel, right? And honest to goodness, in my year and a half, 7 people have told me they do not. Seven.
Yeah.
Because there's so few, I keep count. Everybody else, not just like train travel, but they like it or better, they like it or love it. And so I expect, this has been my experience in the industry, but I expect that scales to the population in general. There is something about traveling by train that is, I don't know, it's within us, and a lot of folks do enjoy it. They appreciate it, they love it. Now, to your point, we are a very well-designed, curated brand. So on top of the maybe dreams and aspirations that you've always had about traveling by train, you get to our stations and you get on our trains, and then you have a fantastic, super relaxing, carefree, stress-free experience. And we become not just a means to get somewhere, but we're part of the vacation itself. So again, pre and post, usually getting to when you're traveling, usually the getting to that place, it's a little bit of a stressful part, right? Whether it's airport, whether it's car. We have removed that bit, at least when you're traveling within Florida, and commuting or moving between Central Florida and South Florida is not the stressful part of the vacation. In fact, it's just it's part of the vacation. It's another attraction. You can look out the window, see the water features around the state. If you need to, you don't need to stop. You could just go up and use the restroom. If you are hungry, and so I do think, and this, I think the data would bear this out. The addition of the train trip between the two regions actually elevates the entire vacation, makes it a little bit more richer, a little bit, another chance to connect with those with whom you're traveling. So I think it really adds to the vacation as this word of mouth gets out. So you already wanted to travel by train. You've already been dreaming about traveling by train. Now you know that it's going to be an excellent, superb experience on the train. You are certainly at it.
Yeah. So I know we don't have a lot of time, but I didn't want to let you go without just asking about. You mentioned the West Coast. I know Florida is just an ongoing project, an ongoing passion for Brightline. Can you tell us a little bit about what's coming, what advisors should know about, what they should keep an eye about, and what they should be excited for?
So I'm very, very glad you asked that. You asked about that question. So again, we want to reiterate the train between Central Florida and South Florida is running. We opened on September 22nd. At the moment, we're running about 15 trains in each direction. So that gives you about a train every hour while we operate. So plenty of availability, plenty of options for travel advisors to sell it, for their clients to choose when they want to travel. Number two, huge news for us is that we are rolling out the infrastructure, the system to pay commissions, which we haven't done up until now. So we value the travel advisor community. We know how important they are to our business, in Brightline, particularly in the tourism industry in general. So we certainly want to partner with travel advisors and remunerate them for what they do. We do value that service and that value that they add to that vacation. We have made public plans to add stations to our line in Florida. So a station in the Treasure Coast is coming. Then there'll be expansions past the Orlando airport. Right now, our terminus is at MCO, but we do have expansion plans, and there'll be 2 additional stations in the Orlando area, and then we'll continue the line all the way to Tampa. So downtown Tampa. So you'll be able to connect West Florida to Central Florida to South Florida. So it'll be a really cool way to see most of the state. And yes, we have a lot of the legal infrastructure approved and completed to begin that line that will connect the Las Vegas Strip to downtown Los Angeles. In that project, there'll be a ton of innovation and a ton of great things that we'll be able to do, like take the train at much higher speeds. So it'll really cut down on the travel time between the two destinations. And again, we're fulfilling that. We're filling that niche where we have made a claim is that distances that are too long to drive but too short to fly, between those 2 cities where there's a lot of congestion but a lot of interest and a lot of travel. So in a few years, we'll be providing, we'll be adding really cool services to our lineup.
Yeah, well, I know how excited the advisors are. I imagine the consumer side is just as excited too. So it's really great to hear from you, Gabe, and I appreciate your time and your perspective on everything too.
Listen, my pleasure. Let's do it again soon. We love to be with you guys. Again, stay tuned. We have a ton of new things and a ton of news to keep communicating. So I appreciate you helping us spread our word and lending us your voice to tell our story. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.